Hey everyone, it is your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, and welcome to another episode of Neon Mike where the conversations just glow. I am so fortunate to have our guest here who I've also met at a Plus Ultra event. You're a friend of Ro. Give it up for Brian, everyone.
How you doing,
You, sir, are a very busy man. As a
Yes.
CEO, creator, you do fashion, you do gaming, you are also a cosplayer. So it's like, how do you, one, manage to juggle, like, so many, like, projects?
I think it kind of comes with just what I'm feeling at the time, and I do it in phases. So, like, if it's like something that I'm really interested in when it comes to fashion, I will kind of laser focus on that as well too. So I'll go from designing templates to start sketching, doing some research on just what's out there, different types of materials, and then I'm just in a tunnel vision when it just comes to fashion. But then when I get the interest or get that itch to start developing the game, then I'm tunnel vision with that. With the cosplay, it's a little bit different because I do have specific cosplays that I want to do. I cosplay based off like my favorite characters, so it's not like I'm just gonna pick any random thing. It's always like based off of like significance of my childhood. So when I did the Yoshimitsu cosplay last year, Yoshimitsu was literally my main in Tekken. So Tekken 3 was one of my favorite games and my favorite look of Yoshimitsu. So that was always like on my bucket list to cosplay. So that I kind of plan out. I'd reach out to the vendor. I'd sketch out different like ideas and different approaches I want to do, props, and it's usually like a 6 to 8 month process
Ooh.
because of just how like the transferring back and forth, making sure the helmet is fit wise and things of that sort. For cosplay, the next one I am working on is Miles Prowler from
Ooh.
Beyond the Spider-Verse, or like I guess the ending of Across the Spider-Verse. So that's the one that's really as soon as I saw it on screen, I'm like, I'm cosplaying that like 100%. The glow mask, the gauntlets,
Oh.
and my hair is longer now too, so I can actually braid my hair in two French braids and do it. So that might be at Awesome Con. We'll see if it's done by then, but yeah. So
Oh, that'd be so cool. I'm praying that we could get that sequel real soon because
yes,
like it was so cool that they did a cliffhanger and assuming that it'll probably be out like maybe like 2026. They keep pushing it back.
yeah.
And it's just like it's so heartbreaking, but that's a really good cosplay. Like I'm
Yeah,
excited to see that.
yeah, and I know it was really big, especially when Miles Morales was first introduced. So many cosplays. I did cosplay once at once as Miles as well too. One of my best friends, Sydney Sid Suga, she cosplayed as well as Miles Morales as well too. And there's been so many different Miles. So this is a different take on Miles as well from the different Earth as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one as well. It's something I'm going to be cosplaying for a long time, even when my hair is long gone at that point. So
I mean, and that's the power of representation. Like when you see or you're starting to see more characters that actually look like you, it's a more of a push. Like, oh man, like I would love to like play that character or be that character at a
yeah,
convention. So, one, thank you to Sony for actually putting that out.
yes,
And
thank you,
again,
Sonny.
fingers crossed that we
Yes.
could, get that sequel, that third installment real soon. But I also glad that you mentioned like how much it takes to put a cosplay together because I think that's a common misconception. Like, oh, you could just buy stuff off of Amazon or 3D printing has come a long way,
Yes, it
and it
has.
has it's a lot faster. But I've seen mishaps. I've seen cosplayers cry like it be halfway or just like to the point and then it just fails. So like there's so many things that can go wrong when putting a cosplay together. So but it's like I mean it seems like you have a core team that like helps make it happen.
Yeah, I have a couple of vendors that I do reach out. I do certain things like myself, like certain painting and things of that sort. But again, like it's even nuanced then too, because you got to measure your head, your torso, make sure that the body parts. And I'm more of like an armor type cosplayer too. So like I do certain like casual cosplays, like a Parappa Rapper that I did just recently, just past MagFest. But the ones that require a lot of work, you got to get your measurements. One of my best friends, BTG Plays from After Hours Arcade. He did Sector Wild Cyrax and for MagFest this last year or this past MagFest, and we had to measure each other as well to make sure the measurements were good, fit like a glove. Thank goodness, because I have had cosplays where they've broken on the day of cosplay.
Oh
I
no!
think it was ironically my Inkling one. So I was putting my my Inkling helmet, the squid helmet, in the car, and it just toppled out the car, and I think it was a 3D print, cracked, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Like MagFest is tomorrow,
Were you
so
able to fix it?
I
Super
was,
glue? Okay.
I did. So I super glued it. I had some a hot glue gun. I had the heat gun as well too, and I just kept it steady, glued it as best as I could, painted over it, and it does look a little seamless too. But I do want to redo that one and actually do like maybe a foam helmet because it is a very heavy like helmet to put on too. So
Oh.
I was like, this is cool, and it's one of my favorite cosplays because a lot of kids recognized it. So the kids
Oh.
were just like, "Oh my God, it's Inkling!" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my favorite." So, so I do want to redo that one because it's something that the kids enjoy, you know. And again, it'll be a lot easier for me to wear the piece versus lugging around, and that has a lot of props too. So, but yeah, like the mishaps can and will happen. So you got to kind of be prepared for any type of contingency plan. Have a glue gun, have a heat gun, have a stitch and needle, anything that you possibly prepare for, just in case you have some mishaps. So
Yeah, I mean, at conventions, I do see like there's some great volunteers. I don't know if they're connected to the con or not, or they're just there to support.
yeah,
There'll be like the emergency cosplay
yeah.
team, and I've seen them like just be in action and
Mm-hmm.
really help the cosplayers there. But it's always good to have like something in your back pocket.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Super glue has really helped because I dropped my it was the staff for Rita Repulsa. It slid
Oh.
off the handle and it like hit the ground. But I was just like, ooh. But I
Yeah.
fixed it. I was able to fix
Thank
it.
you.
Super glue was enough
Yes.
to work, and then I put gaff tape
Okay.
around where it attaches so it doesn't easily slip.
Okay.
So like I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anubis Cosplay
Nice.
that was able to do it. I did take care of it and I got it signed.
Nice.
So
Oh,
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
by
cool.
the Walter and Ashley.
Oh, Walter John. Oh, so
Yeah,
at BlurCon. Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool, cool,
last
cool.
like last BlurCon. Are you
Okay.
going to this year's BlurCon?
I am going actually this year too. So actually, I am going to be cosplaying as Android 17 and James from Team Rocket with again my friend Sydney as well. So that's gonna be like a collab cosplay. So my goal is to collaborate and cosplay with my friends. I'm trying to get my wife to cosplay, and I'm trying to find the right one to cosplay because I know she's a fashionista, but it's like really finding the right one that way she can really go all in and really execute it too. Because she's a big time to execute when it comes to that. But my goal is to cosplay with all my friends and my buddies and things like that. So I want to do a group one with all the fellas. That one's gonna be a challenge, but when we do it, it's gonna be dope. So yeah.
I'll be really excited to see that. Um, but your creativity is not just limited to cosplays. Obviously, into fashion. How did you get into fashion?
Ooh. Um. If you want to go back in the timeline, it started when I was young. So watching my pops and my moms and how they dressed in cross colors, the track suits. They were all really much sneakerheads. I was a sneakerhead growing up as well too, and so seeing them and seeing what they dressed in and how they dressed up in, it just really kind of inspired me to do something. And I've always, as an artist, wanted to make my own apparel. I remember vividly when I was maybe about 11, 12, I made like a sketch of a shoe that had like a CD player with buttons on it too. I've always been like a science techie guy. If I wasn't a designer, I would have been an astronomer, honestly. So that's kind of where the inspiration kind of comes from. So I ended up uh, designing a shoe for another company as a competition. And so it started from there, and I ended up winning the competition too. And
Oh,
ironically, the shoe was based off of NASA, based on the NASA colors. And so people were just like, "Yo, this is dope." And again, we live right not that far from Greenbelt, NASA Goddard Space Center. Bill Nye's from the area. Bill Nye's from Washington D.C. So I've always liked that type of sciencey stuff too. So that's when I was like, you know, I can maybe design my own shoe now at this point of my career. So ironically, these came in a dream. So literally,
ooh.
I was half asleep, and I remember the top. I didn't know what the bottom of the outsole was going to look like, but I remember the top. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, I just, sketched whatever I could remember. And when I looked, I was like, these actually look pretty fire. Let me develop it more. So I ended up sketching them more and more, start tweaking them more. And then when I finally got into the business, I started to look at the outsole of like what we can do, like how we can construct a shoe from scratch. And so basically you have existing outsoles when you're looking at the vendor. So vendors have outsoles, you have minimum order quantity. So when I saw this outsole, I was like, hey, you know what? This actually looks good with the upper that I designed. So that's when I started to design the upper with the outsole. And so the colors are based off of, a little bit of nasty with the powder blue based off of their spacesuits. But then the red and the gray, that comes from the Nintendo. So it's a tie-in of all the things that I enjoy with this body of work too. The foam kind of based off like that space shoe, like like they wear like the large like aluminum shoes like and the space suits. So that's kind of where this two-tongue system comes from as well too. So it's really like a little bit Afrofuturistic a little bit.
That's what I was thinking when I saw it, because it's like, that's what I was about to ask you, if you are really into Afrofuturism.
Big time.
Because it looks like, honestly, it looks like something that came out of a comic book. Like, it looks so cool.
I appreciate that.
And it's nice that you are paying homage to NASA, and I feel like a lot of like blurs in the space grew up like just watching NASA, and like maybe were you in a space camp?
Yes, I was in space camp. I went to what is it, the
was it the Goddard?
The Owen Science Center, the NASA. I went to the Goddard Space Center, Owen Science Center. My brother works for NASA too, so he's an engineer at NASA too, like a building engineer. And I was just like, man, this is all coming like full circle. It's crazy. So, but yeah, I was always that kid that looked up in the sky when I walked outside.
Stars.
And I was like, oh yeah, there's Orion. Oh, there's, the Big Dipper. There's a Little Dipper, so, and that goes back into Anka. So Anka is the name of the brightest star in the Phoenix constellation.
Ooh.
And universe because, of course, we want to serve all people. So that's where universe comes in. All creeds, colors, shapes, sizes, and things of that sort. But it's tying into the star of the Phoenix and just universe. So
that is so cool. Like your thought process. First of all, it seems very like trippy that it just came to you in a dream and you just started like designing it. Like that in itself shows like you were supposed to make this.
I appreciate
for sure.
that.
And then like the homage to like astrology, NASA, and like your childhood with Nintendo, like that it seems more than a shoe. It's more like a tribute to your childhood, and that's like that is absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
And like I said, like it looks like if this would be perfect if somebody were to, cosplay or to design like a whole Afrofuturism look behind it. It actually looks like if you put it on, like, you could hoop. Like, you'd be able to slam dunk.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks like. You know what I mean?
And it's deceivingly light. So a lot of people, like, when they look at it's a heavy shoe. The shoe is extremely light. Like,
it is.
It's because of the outsole was made out of EVA foam. But it kind of goes into, like, that moon boot, when you're walking on walking on the moon and, like, low gravity. So that's where, it kind of ties into like that, lightweight feel. And so when I finally got the sample, I was like, oh, these are super light and they're super comfortable for a long period of time because of how thick the outsole is as well.
Oh yeah, this is like nobody will step you if somebody were to step on your foot, God forbid. Yeah, because I know that's like a cardinal sin. But it's just like you wouldn't be able to feel it. And then I always pay attention to the grip because I have a tend to like slip aside. So it's like this was very well thought out.
Thank you.
And it's just like the neutral colors of like the gray is like you could put it with like most outfits. So it's just like you put a lot of thought into this. It looks so Cool. Like, okay, so where can people get the shoes? Like, we do have, not we, I'm not part, I'm a solid, a devoted customer to Plus Ultra Entertainment Studios.
Yes.
But they do have a shop out front.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, like, the shoe.
Mm-hmm.
You have also this really, this
Yep.
lovely sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my former student, when we were up here, he got one.
Yeah, I saw that. It was cool. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, like, this feels so comfortable. Like, this feels like very nice. Who do you partner with to like manufacture and like to make this happen?
So there's a lot of people that kind of went through. So my sample factory is the one that designed the shoe. I collaborated with them. I actually just recently reached out to them as well too because I plan on getting some more sizes, bigger sizes. So big man, these are coming. I know a lot of those sizes kind of sold out quickly, but I collaborated with them too from start to finish when it came to the shoe. I found another vendor that did our sweatshirts as well too, and so I was cool with the colorway, but the blue was too dark. So what I did in a really nick of time, I was like, okay, I don't like this color. It's really too dark of a blue. I bleached these myself. So so they came as a really dark blue at that color right there. And I taped around the chenille patch of the Anka Star logo, and I just sprayed bleach on the outside and then threw them in the dryer. And once I did that and they came out this color, oh, you know what? That actually works. So,
yeah, because this is like such a relaxing color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the A, because I was about to ask you for the A, because as soon as I saw it, I immediately thought Alvin and the Chipmunk for some reason. But okay, so it's all tied. Okay.
Yep. It's like another alternate logo with Anka. I have so many different logos that when it goes to the branding too. So this one I was inspired by Starter. So again, it goes back into like that 90s look that I was inspired by as a kid. You know, my parents was wearing Starter jackets, Starter tracksuits.
The Champion.
The Champion. Mm-hmm. So that's where the Anka Star kind of came from as well too. So I do want to go more into that design and experiment a little bit, maybe on some other shoes or whatever. So, but yeah, and even the box too. So the box for me, I don't know why I strangely like the box a lot because it kind of goes into like that grid look of like space, you know.
It kind of reminds me, it's a game that's like, I can't remember what it is, but like you're constantly shooting, like your little spaceship, and you're constantly shooting either at asteroids or like different spaceships and aliens. That's what I was getting from this.
Like Galaga or like or asteroids, you know what I mean? So but yeah, like just the intentional of the design to again tying in like those same elements with the fonts, the color schemes, the grid look, and again, and it blends again that space and that video game worlds together. And so yep.
That is so cool. I love like your whole thought processes, like with the design from the shoe to the box. And just to think like, oh, well, if they don't have the right color, I'm going to just bleach it and lighten it up myself. Like, that takes a lot of initiative.
Yeah.
But like I said, this feels like so comfortable. This is perfect for like the fall and winter. You also have another shirt back here. If you could.
Yeah, sure do. So this is like just the basic word mark of the shirt. It's embroidery on. So again, keeping it simple, not doing too much. The sleeves are cuffed in white. Again, tying in just the different elements as well. Yeah, this one's kind of just self-explanatory. Everyone needs like a basic shirt just to wear. I do want to experiment with the sizing as well too. Just the cut. I want to make it more universal. Ironically, just where it can fit more people. I did even notice like, when I wore this shirt the first time, so I was like, I like it, but it's not as comfortable as I would like to get to be.
A little bit too snug.
Yeah, a little bit too snug, you know what I mean, too. So I want more of like a relaxed fit, too, again, so I can fit, again, all sizes, too. So that's something I'm exploring with the next line that I'm working with is, looking at different vendors that can really, nail it to really fit. So where people put on it, oh, you know what, this fits perfect, you know what I mean? Not versus too snug. You don't want a too snug, type of shirt,
Yeah, I feel like the loose fit is starting to come back.
It's definitely coming
back.
In
the 2000s, it was all skinny jeans, tight. And now it's just like people, even with like my former student, shout out to Braylon, He's just like, yeah, I like something like a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's going into like that late 90s, 2000, like, especially early 2000s where we like had the big white t-shirts and the camo. Now, some things I'm like, leave it there.
Yeah, maybe not
Some things
like
leave it
that
there.
big.
Not that
But
big.
something, I feel like the 90s had like a good in
Yeah,
between
yeah.
where it was like, it's not a tight fit. It's
Right.
more loose and comfortable, but it wasn't like you couldn't wear the sweatshirt as a dress.
Yeah, even the suits, like, you know how like the 90s, like you had like the oversized suits a little bit, you know, it looked a little more tailored. 2000s, I always go back to, what was that year? It was like 2003, 2004. I remember LeBron was a rookie in the league, and they all had this super baggy like suits. I'm like, wow, these things, no.
Okay, sorry, LeBron.
Don't bring those back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if it comes back, fashion's gonna do what it's gonna do. If it comes back, it is what it is. But ain't my cup of tea. But I do like the looser fitting things as well too. So again, that's something I'm exploring in the new line that I'm working on. Just something that's a little more fitting, you know, and current with the fashion trends too.
Well, I'm glad that you're being thoughtful and thinking about like everybody. Like we all have different shapes and sizes, and I'm definitely seeing that more in the fashion industry now because I feel like it's either catered to like certain brands. Like LeBron was the only one that was for the plus size, and then now we're seeing the bigger move where it's like, okay, we're going through all the letters to make sure everybody is welcome, and plus that's smarter too.
And it's
Business
smarter.
world, yeah.
And it's funny you say that too, because the model that I'm kind of following behind, ironically, is Rihanna and her Fenty line. She's a prime example of serving everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All shapes, all sizes. When you go on the website and look at some of her lingerie stuff, it is everybody.
Like,
You know what I mean? And so it's like that's how it should be. You know what I mean? Because we're all walking in different types of shape, size, colors, creeds, whatever. And yeah, that representation is needed too. So whether it be plus size, skinny size, big, tall, black, white, straight, you know, not straight, gay, like whatever the case may be. And it's like, yeah, I feel like that's where brands should move towards, even in this, you know, environment.
Yeah, under this administration. But anything is possible because like you own it, so it's like whatever you say for the most part.
Yep.
But outside of fashion, you're also developing a game.
Yes. That one is definitely dear to my heart because gaming for me is essentially my makeup. From I can remember from the age of 4, I guess that's what my memory goes back to. I remember the first two games I played were Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or 1 and 2, and Super Mario World. And so those games and just gaming in general really connected me with everything. It connected me with the friends that I have. And it it keeps like our family together too. So my uncles, my aunts, my mother loves Crash Bandicoot and used to play like, you know, from start to finish. And we were all sat as a family and beat Crash Bandicoot, completed it 100% from start to finish. And so that's where this project is really going to be. It's going to be bigger than what I really think it's going to be, because it's like the start game to many more different games. So it's not just one game I'm going to be end up developing. It's going to be, think Marvel, think the Marvel Universe. So the game that I'm creating is called Retro Gizmo, Rise of the Androidion Titans. And so that, to me, is going to set the stage for all the other games I'm going to be creating, too. So think Iron Man when it first came out, and it set the stage for the Avengers. It set the stage for Secret Wars and the other movies that are about to come out as well, too. This approach, I want to do it like that. So there's going to be different characters that's going to come in that you're going to see in other games as well, too. So this, to me, is like this is a 20-year like timeline process for me. So I see myself old and gray, or getting old and gray, still developing games, or even having a team at the very least to develop other games too. So Channel 3 Games is going to be like that hub of other games that I'm going to be able to create too. So again, I have big dreams, and you know the saying about big dreams: if they don't scare you, don't do them. Right. So those are my dreams, and those are my goals that I'm setting for myself.
Okay, cool. So you're planning to be like the like your own like nether realms in a sense. All right,
Yep.
so what platform? Well, what stage are you now with your game?
So I'm in the asset creating stage. So I have the character. The character is based off of 11-year-old me, fictional
Oh,
world too. So like kind of taking myself into the game and just having just different scenarios. And the goal is to essentially power down and or destroy these Titan robots that have been sitting in slumber for so long, and they've been awakened by an invading robot species that's been disguising as humans. But the character Gizmo discovers this abandoned arcade, and as he discovers this abandoned arcade, he trips on this ancient video game technology. So think of Power Glove. Think of all the things that you have seen in the past that's like been kind of archaic, even though like it's kind of been useful today, like even like an old like VR headset. He essentially is, he doesn't discover this, but he's a descendant of the creator of these items. So when he trips on these items and activates them, it activates the titans that are in slumber in like all parts of the world, and they were supposed to protect the world from this invasive species. So once they activate, the robots start to switch. They start to spaz, and they're like, "What's going on?" Like like they're pretty much their plan's been blown, and so that's when their identity started to be kind of shown and things of that sort, and they go on full on invasion mode because their plot's been discovered. But the goal is essentially for this world to be a hub for all the other different worlds that's about to pretty much go into play for the creative system. So I have two backgrounds already done, the characters already done, the sprites already finished, the moveset's already done. The robots or the enemies are already created as well. It's just a matter of putting them in a platform. So I'm definitely in the need of a coder or a programmer just to kind of put it all together. I'm the artist. I'm not a programmer, so that's where I am. Not necessarily running into a roadblock, but just I guess trying to find the right guy to or the right person just to bring it to life. I can lay it out, put the people on there. It's just a matter of finding the person to really bring it all together, do the front end, the back end, the debugging, making sure, or essentially break the game. So like, what are some things that are exploitable? That's the person I'm looking for. Story
oh,
wise, I'm pretty much finished with the story wise, but I could also use a writer that could flesh things out a little bit more. So I'm definitely more of a collaborative space too, because I know it does take a team in order to make it work and to make it work well. So definitely open to it.
oh, that's awesome. So have you thought about like pitching it to? Well, if you had the opportunity, like which gaming platform would you pitch it to?
Uh, I would definitely start with Steam. So I would start with PC first because that's a little more easy accessible. The dream is definitely Nintendo, obviously, but I know Nintendo does hold a good market for their indie system or their indie case as well too. So they have a good platform for them and a good platform for other indie devs. So they are they're a company that I'm really looking for. That's like number one. The second one will be Sony. So I really all three, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. But PC would definitely be the start that I would, do. And it'll be a free game that you can download too. Like it'll be something that I just want people to play it. Now they can, you know, I'm not going to do like any microtransactions or any updates. I'm just going to update it myself. But I would rather people to enjoy the game. And if they want to give and donate to the cause, donate to the development of the game, then they absolutely could. But I've seen success where games came out for free and have been a major success too. Like again, Marvel Rivals is one of the ones that's going on right now where it's free, and look
I
at it
was
skyrocket.
shocked to find out that was free, because
Yeah.
it's like it's very like well designed, and like it's the way they have set up the like the characters and the platform and the move set. I was just like, it's free 99.
It's free 99,
Like,
and it's doing well. DLC just came out, Johnny Storm, and the thing just came out yesterday. So it's just like this could really be huge. You know what I mean? Tournament wise, like the ranking system, all that jazz. So that's one of my goals too. I do want to eventually make a fighting game. because just the way the community is too, and we love fighting games as well as a culture that's just embedded in us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean too. So and I want to use some of the characters that I do create to make a game. It'll be in the same universe, but it'll be different characters, but they'll still be connected. That makes sense. So that's again goals is kind of just spitball. And I know people are like, how you gonna do all this other stuff? I'm gonna figure it out a way. Like if it take me 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it will get done eventually. This was maybe like a 4-year project. I started in 2019, 2020, definitely during the pandemic. And then when it finally came to life in 2022, people were like, how long did it take you? Well, where do you want to start? You want to start from the dream, or do you want to start from learning the skill set, or do you want to start from just when I finally put the project in motion?
Right. And that's the one thing about like the pandemic. Yes, we were isolated and it was like a very dark time.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing more and more creatives is like, oh, I started this endeavor during the pandemic. I ain't had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let me make something.
Let me tell you about the pandemic. So, yes, it was clearly a dark time, and a lot of people suffered loss. Unfortunately, I even suffered some loss as well, too. But that time, the rat race of the 9 to 5, it was just getting so much, too. And so when they announced that, oh, yeah, the world's shutting down, I packed up all of my stuff at that desk. And people was, oh, yeah, we're going to be back next week. We will not be next. I can tell you right now, we're not coming back next week. I packed up all the stuff, took it home, and sure enough, we shut down for about 4 years. It was probably needed for me because it was the most creative I've ever been. Prior to then, I was kind of in the creative slump because, again, the 9 to 5, they're going back to work 5 days, they're going to work 5 days a week, just they're dealing with the working 10, 12 hours. My creativity was just like siphoned. I had nothing to get. So when I came home, I just went to sleep, watched TV, play little games, and that was it. I couldn't come up with anything. When I finally sat still and the stillness was needed, it was like my creativity, my whatever lobe in the brain just opened. And I was like, wow, I got this idea. I got this idea. I got this idea. I was sketching. I was drawing again, something I haven't done in a little over a decade since I got out of school. And it just opened up the floodgates of the creativity that I just had stored away. So that for me, I know for creative specifically, I appreciated the stillness. I appreciated the not necessarily not talking to people, but just the quietness of it all, just me, my wife, my dogs, and it just allowed me to just really just take it into the next gear of just creativity. And so that's how a lot of these things kind of just came to be, you know.
And that's really dope. And just to like hear like how this all came to fruition, like that's very inspiring. What advice do you have for other creatives that want to follow in your footsteps?
One, let the creativity flow through you. Don't force it. So a lot of people like try to force like, I gotta make this happen. I gotta make this happen. Sometimes taking a step back and taking with it and taking a step back does help. And just do whatever is in your heart too. So like whatever you feel is in your heart, whether it be something that's popular, something that's not popular. Don't follow necessarily the trends and what everyone else is doing. You got to kind of build a tunnel vision of what you want and what you see in your vision when it comes to your creativity. So it's harder, especially now with social media. You might come across people that might be doing the same thing you're doing. Don't focus on that. It's so many different distractions. They're on a whole different timeline versus what you are in, and only you know what you want at the end of the day of your creative thing that you want to strive, your creative goal that you want to strive for. So kind of have a tunnel vision of what you see and lock in. So whether it be you spend 5 hours or 5 minutes, draw that thing, sketch that thing, do some research, look up the different ideas. If you want to do it yourself, I mean, there's services out there, but if you want to do it yourself, look up the skill set that requires to do said thing. So if you want to learn more of Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Creative Suite, go into that realm, get on there. YouTube is free.
And they have a lot. If you get the subscription, they do offer a lot of tutorials.
Yes.
And I think if you go to an Apple store, they offer in-person classes as well.
They offer classes for this stuff too. So not to say you need school. I mean, I do recommend, if you do want to go for it in that realm, school does help with that foundation, but you just want to learn some of the skill sets.
Yeah, you just
You
teach
could just
yourself.
teach yourself, literally. There's so many things that I've learned on YouTube alone that I did not learn in school, believe it or not. Like, even some of the tools. I was like, what does this tool do? Went to YouTube, went to LinkedIn Learning, and it had a whole breakdown from start to finish on how to use said tool, how to use said thing, how to do said thing in this type of said software. And it's like, wow, everything's at my tips. But at the end of the day, again, having that tunnel vision of what you want to do is the best thing you can do for yourself, and really go all in with it. Don't focus on anyone else and what they're doing. You can be inspired by them. You can look at, you can maybe, say, oh yeah, it's pretty cool. But at the end of the day, don't allow that to discourage yourself.
All right, don't compare. That's
Don't
the thing
compare,
there.
yes.
Yeah, it's not fair to compare
It's
because
not
like
fair
this
to compare.
person been doing it.
Yes.
And you don't know like what advantages they may have or like the connection. So it's never fair to compare yourself to somebody else.
Or how long it takes them too. Like, they might have been doing this for 10 years. You're just looking at the end product of what they're doing. Like, oh yeah, like, I want to be that. Okay, let's listen to their story and see how they started. Some might have started in, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and this is just now the end result. So the comparison thing is spot on, and I'm glad you said that too. So that's one thing that I do recommend the creators to not do, is to not compare yourself to other people. Focus on your goal and don't compare. And at the end of the day, and pace yourself. You know what I mean? Yes, there's goals that you want to do and you want to set at the of the end result of, like, or maybe dates you want to set. And I was like that at one point. I was like, man, I really got to get this game out. I was like, you know what? I want to do this game right, no matter how long it takes. So, in that case, let me take my time. Let me find the right people. Let me create the right assets, and let me take my time with it. And then when it finally reaches to that end goal and the finished product, I'll be more satisfied with the event versus a rush product. So yeah.
That is like this great advice. So what's next? What's the next thing? What's next on your bucket list?
Besides the Miles Prowler cosplay that I'm working on now, I'm working on the all black versions of these shoes, and I know this is all the DMV has asked me, when is the black ones coming out? I'm working on those, but I had to find another factory because their factory shut down. So,
Oh no!
and of course that kind of causes some hiccups of finding someone else to develop the shoe, to do it right. So I'm taking my time with it, make sure it's done right. But the all black versions of these will be next. Those will be the next big release. I am working on a couple samples now. I'm working on the basketball shoe, so the samples in work. And there's a low cut kind of sleek shoe that I'm working on as well too, that will be more of casual looking shoe. A lot of the ladies ask me too, like, oh, you can develop something for us? I'm absolutely will. I was inspired by the fashion shoot that was done by Plus Ultra just recently. A lot of the vendors that were a part of that were fantastic. And so I looked at it, I was like, you know what? It's time to lock in. I immediately got into Illustrator. I started developing different, like, high fashion things, or like a space suit. Just made one-of-one pieces as well too. So those are the things I do want to cater more to the women in this brand as well too, because again, my wife is one of my biggest cheerleaders. She's always wearing aqua wherever she goes. She wears the shoes. She's putting outfits together. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely something that's needed as well too. Like the writing was on the wall because I ran into a roadblock, and I was just like, how can I get this out more? Meanwhile, the wife is just like, oh, okay, you put this together, you put the sheets, any type of color she's picking, oh, okay, this would get good with that. And I'm like, there it is. So definitely focusing more on the ladies this next time around too. So those are the things that I'm kind of balancing. So essentially all three, again, you know what I mean? I took a step back the last year or so of just kind of like letting this brand breathe a little bit too. I don't want to rush into it. I don't want to put shoes out every month too, because I feel like it's oversaturating the market. So I wanted to really allow people to see as much of this as they can before I bring in the next thing. And that gives me time to develop the other stuff as well.
Well, I hope I'm actually excited because I like all black. But it sucks that that manufacturer closed because it's kind of hard. Like once you build a rapport and they actually built it the way you want it, now it's kind of like you have to find another company that you can trust. So that sucks.
Yep. Yeah.
But hopefully,
it's part of the process. You know what I mean? So
hopefully you can find someone else that you'll be able to work with because I see your vision. I see where you're going with this. I'm like maybe sometime next year, New York Fashion Week.
I'm hoping so.
I'm
hoping so. Yeah.
So that'd be dope. And then, where can people find you? And do you have a website?
Yes. So I have a website. It's called Ankaauniverse. So it's ANKAA universe.com. I'm on Instagram at Gizmo Esquire G1ZMO3SQUIRE. I'm also on Instagram at Ankaauniverse as well, and also Instagram is again at CH3 Games. So
I'm gonna put the links in the description to make it easier for you guys. Yeah. And see how you guys grow from that conversation. I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Bye.
Take care.